Hello everyone. The promulgation of the tape by GMD military is a little bit in the not too distant past, but no day passes at the NNPC that operations, actions and conduct do not manifest this mantra, and progressively with evident results. Tape being transparency, accountability and performance excellence, it has proven to be one major ingenuity that the National Oil Company needed to be in contention as the profitable business outfit of today and the future. We are looking at the many activities across the operations of NNPC, where the footprints of this management style cornerstone have now become ever so palpable. This scenario has galvanized development, especially in the various sectors like gas, the beautiful bride of the oil and gas industry, huge infrastructure, and being continually put in place across the land. The legislature have been very discerning to notice and acknowledge these efforts. That's part of the stories we are tracking in this episode. There's more in the details. I'm Akin Agbejile. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
To buy fuel for black market, NNPC go bring fuel for all motorists.
NNPC say them get fuel jabrata for ground, so therefore no buy black market, no do panic buying, and no fuel day we go round.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The House of Representatives Committee on Gas Resources has applauded the Malam Mele Kyari-led management team of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for its achievements in the areas of gas infrastructure development, gas supply obligations for the domestic market, and the NLNG Train 7 project. Chairman, House Committee on Gas Resources, Honorable Nicholas Mutu, said during an oversight visit to the NNPC Towers Abuja that the committee was pleased with the ongoing drive by the corporation to promote the use of gas as a cheaper and cleaner form of energy.
It is a step in the right direction. Indeed, gas resources have come to take the pride of place in our national development agenda. And given the quantum of proved reserves, we can rightly declare that Nigeria is more of a gas country.
In his welcome address to the visiting legislators, Group Managing Director of the corporation, Malam Mele Kyari, expressed gratitude to the committee for its continued support for the corporation. The GMD, who was represented by the Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power, Engineer Yusuf Usman, said NNPC will continue to engage and seek further support in approvals of budgets appropriated for critical gas infrastructure projects, as well as the speedy passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill PIB 2020, which is currently before the National Assembly.
We will continue to engage you and also seek further support in approvals of our budget and critical infrastructure projects, as well as your support in speedy passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill presented to the National Assembly.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The Group Managing Director, GMD of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, has assured motorists of ample availability of premium motor spirit PMS, revealing that the corporation has more than 60 days sufficiency of petrol in its various strategic depots across the country. The GMD attributed the emergence of queues in some petrol stations across the country to the disruption of the free flow of vehicular movement occasioned by curfews and restrictions of movement, particularly in Lagos State. Malam Kyari urged motorists not to engage in panic buying of petroleum products, as the NNPC has over 2 billion litres of petrol in stock to guarantee steady supply and at least 60-day product supply sufficiency nationwide.
The Bureau of Public Service Reforms, BPSR, has commended the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, for internal open resourcing IOR initiative, describing it as a veritable tool required by the nation at this time to bridge the skills gap in both the public and civil service. The Director General, BPSR, Dr. Dasuki Arabi, gave the commendation at the October edition of the BPSR Lunchtime Reforms Seminar, which held recently at the auditorium of the Federal Ministry of Finance, with the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Kyari, as guest speaker. Speaking after an exhaustive presentation on the topic, current reforms in the petroleum sector and their impact on Nigeria, the role of NNPC, by the NNPC helmsman, the BPSR boss said he would recommend aspects of the NNPC IOR initiative to the head of service of the Federation for adoption in the ongoing civil service reforms.
The introduction of transparency in the procurement process in the petroleum sector, the passage of the Petroleum Governance Bill by the Senate, which opens the way for other aspects of FIB to be considered.
In his presentation, the Group Managing Director of NNPC, who was represented by the Group General Manager, Corporate Planning and Strategy, Mrs. Orishe Mewa Eyesan, said NNPC was focused on implementing innovations that would enhance its operations and bottom line, such as increasing crude oil production and reserve, extending gas footprint to stimulate industrialization, and boosting local refining capacity.
For us, we've also established that if we do not increase our gas footprint across the entire nation, we will be leaving value on the table for this country.
Succession plans and change of leadership at the helm of affairs of corporate organizations are natural because of retirement due to age, years of service, or needs to reinvigorate the organization. Such changes naturally bring new lease of life to the administration and management of a business. It is one of such business continuity plans that brought on board the 19th Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, on 8th July 2019, Malam Kyari, who from the onset exhibited deep knowledge and understanding of the modus operandi of the corporation and initiated pragmatic measures that have enabled the state oil firm to optimize her operations through various cost control measures. Malam Kyari, in his inauguration address, without mincing words, acknowledged the responsibilities and roles of the NNPC to the nation's economy, which range from guaranteeing of energy security to creating of conducive environment that would attract foreign direct investment, to creation of massive jobs in conjunction with the aspirations of the federal government of Nigeria. To effectively engineer a positive revival, he outlined his agenda for the industry by emphasizing that the operations of the corporation must be open and transparent to the Nigerian people for the purpose of accountability and confidence. This was encapsulated in his transparency, accountability, and performance excellence mantra, which was codenamed TAPE, and it has since become the major cornerstone of its management style.
At the very beginning, we are going to focus on the expectations of Nigerians. Every Nigerian expects this company to be accountable, to be transparent, to be able to deliver petroleum products without difficulty. They expect us to create employment for our country. They expect us to deliver on gas, so that at the end of the day, it becomes a national oil company that we're all proud of.
Barely a year and 3 months, precisely 15 months only, as the GMD of NNPC, he has shown enough convictions through numerous breakthroughs and achievements that he is capable of repositioning the Nigerian oil and gas industry through automated reforms in the upstream, midstream, and downstream value chains, resulting in obvious optimization of the processes and drastic reduction of bleedings. It is remarkable to state that the age-long criticism of NNPC as an opaque organization now seems like once upon a time bedtime story, as the corporation has for the first time in its 43 years of existence presented audited financial statements for 2018 and 2019 to the public this year. This is in addition to consistently publishing its monthly financial and operations reports, a feat that is done only by the NNPC globally. Apart from making NNPC transparent and accountable to the shareholders, business analysts believe that one ostensible area that the GMD has really impacted the fortunes of the corporation positively is cost controls and optimization initiatives he introduced since his assumption of office. It is pertinent to note as well that the cost control and optimization measures in place by the GMD are directly responsible for the considerable reduction in losses, as clearly noticeable in the recently released 2019 audited financial statements. Some of the measures initiated by the GMD to reduce cost drivers includes the review of consultancy contracts, which have helped the NNPC to save costs by consolidating of consultancies to the must-have ones or the most necessary at a particular time only. Also, in keeping his promise to review all prevailing contracts, the GMD introduced the haircuts of 30%, where he directed all the corporation's business leaders to engage all contractors to renegotiate discounts in favor of NNPC on all original contract values. This saved NNPC several millions of dollars.
We are committed to performance, and not mere performance, but performance with operational excellence.
The management, under the watch of the current leadership at the NNPC, has consistently ensured the enforcement of project sanctioning and approval procedure PSAP implementation by business leaders. Although PSAP was introduced in 2014 at the NNPC, the compliance level and usage by the corporation was at best minimal. However, Malam Kyari has successfully achieved full application of PSAP in all NNPC's operations, and this has brought about better project definitions. In a bid to ensure timely delivery of the presidential initiatives, the GMD had to set up a project monitoring office PMO. This is another innovation that ensures projects are completed on schedule. The various technical and commercial bid opening exercises are all efforts geared towards cost controls and optimization of its operations. Similarly, the GMD also directed all business leaders to ensure prioritization of all capital expenditure based on health, safety, environment, and quality high standards.
The MPDC, the IDSL, and even the NAPINS with his partners are going aggressively to achieve that $10 per barrel, and it's doable.
Making revenue-generating strategic business units more viable and lean cost centers have also helped in improving the bottom line of the NNPC business. Revenue-generating centers are tasked to generate more revenues at lower cost, and all projects are brought under very close scrutiny to ensure cost optimization. In order to block leakages and ensure strict control over foreign exchange transactions, all foreign exchange payments are now subject to the approval of the GMD. Similarly, digitalization of payments of invoices was initiated to control costs and minimize human interference in procurements to payments. Perhaps one of the biggest demonstrations of Malam Kyari's management acumen and cost control initiatives was the successful renegotiation of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline project from $2.8 billion to $2.5 billion through best practice project delivery strategy, thereby saving the nation a whopping sum of $300 million. Speaking on how the AKK project would impact the economy, the Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power, Engineer Yusuf Usman, has this to say.
We have about 6 to 7 power projects that can deliver about 5 to 6,000 megawatt of power. These power plants are the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano power plant with combined capacity of 3,600 megawatt. We have the QIPP power plant. We have the SIPCO power plant. We have the Opai power plant phase 2 expansion.
Reducing contracting cycles to 6 months is also a top priority of the GMD. To this end, he has approved some key members of staff to drive the Ministerial Committee on Cost Reduction and Contracting Cycles. Apart from positioning the NNPC on the path of profitability, it also places the corporation on a very high pedestal to make it an independent and a standalone company as encapsulated in the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB. Also, it raises staff awareness on prudent management of resources and commercialization, as well as a lean corporate headquarters and more viable revenue-generating SBUs.
There was a lot of commitment on the part of management. So all of this put together, including the very experienced team we had and the focus we had, were able to come to a settlement that at the end of the day really saved the corporation a lot of money.
The introduction of Operation White and the automation of operations in the downstream sector of the corporation's operations has also gone a long way in optimizing and controlling costs in the NNPC.
It has brought a lot of efficiencies. So, for example, the first one I can reckon with is the speed with which you will now be able to go online and just procure your products.
Some stakeholders speak on how the automation of the operations have enabled them to interface with the NNPC seamlessly.
It reduced the issue of carrying money, and it reduced the risk of giving much out of your money.
In the introduction of the online, everything was going smoothly. If you made payment in the morning, before afternoon, you have gotten your product. Before 2 o'clock, the product will arrive at your station.
The experience it was very great since NNPC introduced the online payments, because within the few minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, you can make your transaction online.
If there is one thing transparency does to any organization, apart from showcasing its honesty and integrity, it helps to boost performance. It also helps to put its business leaders on their toes to do their best, knowing there is no room to hide or cover up inefficiencies. This appears to be the story of NNPC, whose commitment to transparency is beginning to yield positive results in the form of huge reduction in losses from 803 billion naira in 2018 to 1.7 billion naira in 2019. By every business analysis, the 99.7% reduction in NNPC loss profile in the just released 2019 audited financial statement is a pointer to the fact that the optimization of NNPC operations and cost control measures are working and would ultimately impact the economy of the nation in no distant time.
Welcome to yet another interesting segment of the program. I am Faith Ayuba. Public bid opening exercises for contracts is one of the many ways that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has adopted for the selection of technically and commercially qualified bidders for most of her contracts. On this edition, the roving camera brings to you how some stakeholders perceive this strategy by the NNPC.
It promotes accountability and transparency. So for now, it's not by who you know. I know somebody in NNPC, I know a big man. It depends on your capacity. And as a company, your company profile, what you've done in the past and everything.
So I think one of the significance of this bidding is trust. It creates trust, creates confidence, and also create belief.
I'm seeing a brighter future from NNPC because what I've been hearing about what they are doing now, they are more transparent to us. They are open to Nigerians.
It promotes transparency and accountability. It reduces corruption, and you get the best technical bidders. And it also gives the stakeholders on this a sense of belonging.
It will help curb corruption. It's transparent, you're watching it, you're monitoring it. You know where the process is not being hijacked by those on top.
From the views of Nigerians, it is clear that the strategy provides a level playing field for all bidders, and it has further entrenched the transparency, accountability, and performance excellence culture in the corporation. That's about the size of this segment. We now shift gear to Did You Know segment.
Hello, and thank you for joining us again on this educative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojogbo. Did you know that in 1971, Nigeria joined the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, as the 10th member? Did you know that the Nigerian National Oil Corporation, NNOC, was established as an organ for exercising control over the oil and gas industry, which was dominated by multinationals in 1971? The NNOC also provided a platform for governments to take up participating interest in operations of the companies based on 1965 agreement, which allowed governments to acquire interest in international oil companies, IOCs. Other acquisitions were to follow, and by 1974, the acquisition had covered all the operating companies, with a percentage of government interest increased to 60%, thus giving birth to the joint venture agreements. Did you also know that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, was formed through the merger of the then NNOC and the Ministry of Mines and Steel on 1st April 1977? Now you know. Please don't go away. The program continues.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices went into reverse, giving up the previous gains as a surge in United States crude stocks and rising coronavirus infections in the United States and Europe fanned fears of a supply glut and weaker fuel demand. Brent crude futures were down $1.60 or 3.8% at $39.60 per barrel, having climbed nearly 2%. The United States West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were down $1.84 or 4.6% at $37.73 per barrel after a 2.6% jump previously. United States crude oil and gasoline stocks rose last week. Data from the American Petroleum Institute showed, with crude inventories rising by 4.6 million barrels to about 495.2 million barrels, well above analyst expectations of a 1.2 million barrel build. Meanwhile, the Market Intelligence Department of the NNPC's London office reports that the European energy giants have their eyes on growing markets for natural gas and renewable power in India, where they hope to push coal out of the mix. Key Mid-East oil producers Saudi Aramco and Abu Dhabi National Oil Corporation are projecting their participations in the expansion alongside state-run refiners Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum and Hindustan Petroleum. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Owigo Okolo.
That's been our package for Oil and Gas Forum this edition. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found some little bits of takeaways here and there, and the stories are very informative and ever so delightsome. Have yourself a good week.
Here's the start and get...